Namaskar and welcome. You're watching Midday Prime. I'm Sakal Bhatt. On the show this Tuesday afternoon, we take a closer look at the clinical trials of the COVID vaccine of children 2 to 6 years of age that are underway at AIIMS as we speak. We will also be getting you a quick roundup of the COVID numbers across the country that continue to recede, and much more line up for you on Midday Prime. But first up, here are the headlines. COVID cases continue to decline as India reports less than 40,000 daily new cases after 102 days. Daily recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 47th consecutive day. Recovery rate increases to 96.87. India's COVID vaccination drive is on in full swing with over 33 crore doses. India overtakes United States of America in total number of COVID vaccine doses administered. More than 52.76 lakh vaccine doses administered yesterday. Over 8.95 crore vaccine doses administered in the age group of 18 to 44 so far. The trial process for vaccination for children continues. Children aged between 2 to 6 years to be screened today at AIIMS Delhi. Earlier, children in the age group of 6 to 18 years were screened and given first dose of vaccine. In other news, Supreme Court orders all states to implement One Nation, One Ration card by July 31st. Says government to prepare a portal for the registration of unorganized workers by July 31st. Our center to provide additional food grains to states in order to arrange community kitchens. President Ramnath Kovind lays foundation stone of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Memorial and Cultural Center. Says our real success lies in following the values and ideals of Baba Saheb. Adds Baba Saheb favored important role for women in the making of modern India. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar today inaugurates the world-class 11.3-kilometer high-speed track to measure maximum speed capabilities of high-end cars and other categories of vehicles. Move another step in the direction of Atmanirbhar Bharat. Facebook India and Google India to appear before a Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information and Technology today. The committee to hear their views about safeguarding the rights of citizens and prevention of misuse of social or online news media platforms, with special emphasis on women's security in the digital space. G20 foreign ministers meeting to take place in Mathera today. Meeting to feature 2 sessions. First one will focus on global governance and multilateralism. Session 2 to be devoted to the relationship or the relations with the African continent, with a specific focus on sustainable development. And in sports, at Euro Cup 2020, England to take on Germany and Sweden to face Ukraine today to see the quarter-final spots. And let's begin the Midday Prime with big news. And the big story we are leading with: India continues to show a steady decline in new daily COVID-19 cases. The country has reported less than 40,000 new cases daily after 102 days. Now let's take a look at these numbers in detail. In the last 24 hours, 37,566 new cases were reported in India. With this, the country's active caseload has declined to 5,52,659. Active cases constitute 1.82% of the total cases. Daily recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases for the 47th consecutive day. In the last 24 hours, 56,994 patients have recovered. A total of 2 crore 93 lakh 66,000 601 patients have recovered across the country so far. India's recovery rate has now increased to 96.87%. Weekly positivity rate and daily positivity rate remain below 5%. The weekly positivity rate is currently standing at 2.74%, while the daily positivity rate is at 2.12%. And on the vaccination front, good news continues. India continues to ramp up vaccinating its population as well. Under the largest nationwide vaccination drive, the country so far has administered over 33 crore vaccine doses on Monday. As many as 52,76,457 received the vaccine doses, of which 41,24,221 received their first dose, while 11,52,236 have received their second dose of vaccine. And let's quickly go across to our colleague Tapas Bhattacharya, who continues to track the story very, very closely. Tapas, the good news continues on the vaccination front as well as on the caseload front as well. Quickly, a quick roundup of the vaccination overall, as far as the saturation of the maximum population under vaccine is concerned, and also the kind of reasons attributed to the steady decline that we have seen in the weekly caseload as well as the overall caseload. The numbers are going down.
Absolutely, without the iota of doubt, the number of cases for the 40, for almost, if you take a close look, for the 47 consecutive day, the daily recoveries continue to outnumber the daily new cases. In fact, the recovery rate is currently over 96.87%, and this is a huge, what you call booster. Also, after almost 102 days, the daily cases have also gone down less than 40,000. It's so far in the last 24 hours. If you take a close look, it's 37,566 cases that is there, and it only constitutes to almost 1.82%. That's a huge number that we are talking about, and there is a correlation of a couple of things. The first and foremost, the emergency services and the emergency points that the government of India has put across the country, especially in terms of once again putting up the certain basic things. For instance, increase in the testing, keeping the protocol, and strictly following the COVID behavior protocol, and also the second and the most important part is increasing the vaccine dosage in the country, which is currently over 33 crore.
Yes.
So that's a huge landmark that you're talking about, and these are few steps that has seen the number of cases coming down. As far as
this also, in fact, denotes the vaccine hesitancy is gradually declining. That kind of a situation when you don't have vaccine hesitancy, and more people are coming forward and getting their doses, whether it is first dose or second dose.
Absolutely, and keeping in mind, especially in places like in the suburb and the urban areas, that was not the vaccine hesitancy was not much, but especially in the rural India, there was a bit of a vaccine hesitancy, but the kind of administration work that has gone into now, that is removing the obstacles in that. We have been told that almost more than 15,18,560 vaccine doses are in the pipeline and will be received by the states and the union territories in the next 3 days. And we have also been told that they've been ramping up the production. In fact, the government of India, in fact, plans to vaccinate each and every adult by the end of the year. That is what they are planning to do, and keeping a tight schedule for that. And at the same time, there is a clinical trial screening also taking place for the children under 18, 12 to 18. And now we've been told that 2 to 6 years age screening also going to take place in AIM. So all these procedures, and we've been also told that by our sources that we in the next month or so we will have a couple of more vaccines coming, international vaccine manufacturing coming to the country. So all these efforts is definitely expected to boost India's fight against COVID-19. Sakal.
Tapas, I'm requesting you to stay with us as we move on to the other story. We're also tracking the clinical trials for children in AIIMS that is underway. Please stay standby. We're going to take your inputs on that as well on phone line. Meanwhile, let's talk about this. Now, in a significant development, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences in National Capital will be in fact beginning the screening children in the age group of 2 to 6 years for the clinical trials of COVID-19 vaccine. The selection for these clinical trials in the 6 to 18 years is already over, and children within this age group have been also administered with a single dose of vaccine. These children will be administered the second dose after 28 days. Remember, on May 12th, the Drugs Controller General of India granted permission or go ahead to conduct the second and the third phase of clinical trials of the vaccine among the children in age group of 2 to 18 years of age. Tapas, if you could hear me, a quick update on this as well.
It's a huge step for children. As so far, we've been told that Bharat Biotech's Covaxin has been the trial is taking place. It's a screening that will be taking place on the 2 to 6 year of age category. Earlier, 12 to 18, and then 6 to 12 years of age categories screening took place, where the subjects were provided the first dosage of the Covaxin, and they will be provided the second dose after 28 days, and they will be monitored, and the first and the phase 2 and the 3 clinical trial data will be generated. And now the age group of 2 to 6 years, the trial for and the screening will start taking place. We expect that in the next month or so, or by September. We expect by September that the result will come out, and we will have Bharat Biotech's Covaxin for the children to be provided for the children. But apart from that, it is expected that some more vaccine manufacturers, especially Pfizer, along with a couple of more vaccine manufacturing will be provided, and it is expected that Cadilla's, Zydus Cadila, and along with some other vaccine manufacturers, if they come out with which they are already doing the research on their vaccine manufacturing. So if that comes out, we will have at least couple of vaccine for the under 18 age category by the term July-August. We can have that.
Okay,
so
Tapas,
it's a good news for all these people.
All right, Tapas, that's all we have time for, but many thanks for sharing those very vital inputs on this big story that we are leading with. Thank you. Meanwhile, the sero survey of SARS-CoV-2 infection among children in Mumbai has found that more than 50% of the pediatric population in a healthcare settings and antibodies to COVID-19. The survey also finds that the proportion of pediatric population, that's basically children, having antibodies has increased as compared to earlier sero survey. Now, a total of 2,176 blood samples were tested for this study. According to the survey, seropositivity was highest in the age group of 10 to 14 years, that is 53.43%. Taking age into consideration, the rate among 1 to 4 years old is 51.04%, 47.33% among 5 to 9 years of age, 53.43% among 10 to 14 years of age, and 51.39% for 15 to 18-year-olds. The overall seropositivity rate of 1 to 18 years is 51.18%. And let's now talk about what's happening on the testing front. Now, according to the Indian Council of Medical Research, or ICMR, the country has so far tested 40 crore 81 lakh 39,287 samples for COVID-19. Testing for COVID-19 continues, which is helping in a big way to restrict the spread of the virus. In fact, earlier on Monday, as many as 17 lakh 68,008 samples were tested. And now let's also take a look at the states. Vaccination drive has been stepped up across the country through the availability of more doses to these states and advanced visibility of vaccine availability to states and union territories for enabling better planning by them and streamlining the vaccine supply chain. As part of the nationwide vaccination drive, Government of India has been supporting the states and the union territories by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. So far, 31 crore 83 lakh 36,450 vaccine doses have been provided by the centre to these states and union territories. So far, through free of cost channel and through direct state procurement category. Of this, the total consumption including wastages as on today morning stands at 31 crore 4 lakh 91,565 doses. States and union territories still have 78 lakh 44,885 balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses to be administered, which means there are enough vaccines available with the states. And over 15 lakh 18,560 vaccine doses are in the pipeline and will be received by the states and union territories within the next 3 days. And now let's move on to our developing story segment. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will be attending the G20 ministerial meetings in Italy today. The foreign ministers' meetings will feature 2 sessions. The first one will focus on global governance and multilateralism as a key tool to address major global challenges and promote a sustainable and resilient recovery. At the heart of the debate, there will be the need to strengthen international cooperation and multilateral institutions in key areas such as global health, sustainable development, climate action and international trade. Session 2 will be devoted to the relationship or relations with the African continent with a specific focus on sustainable development. The meeting will discuss the most appropriate policy measures in a range of important areas such as the inclusion of young people and women, trade, fight against climate change and energy transition. And both topics on the agenda have been developed along the lines of 3 pillars of the G20 Italian presidency. That is people, planet, prosperity, quote unquote, and in line with the Build Back Better common thread aimed at promoting a sustainable, inclusive and resilient recovery. Now, a specific development ministers meeting will also be held for the first time today, focusing on financing sustainable development and territorial development and localizing the SDGs. So basically SDGs, your development goals. The ministers will reiterate, the G20 ministers will reiterate their commitment to support a strong, inclusive and sustainable post-pandemic recovery in developing countries. And now let's move on. Officials of Facebook and Google have been summoned by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology to present their views on safeguarding citizens' rights and prevention of misuse of social online news media platforms, with special emphasis on women's security in the digital space. This comes days after representatives of Twitter appeared before the panel to discuss India's new IT rules and how to stop the misuse of the platform. Now let's move on to our next segment, that is National Prime segment. The Supreme Court today asked states and union territories to implement the One Nation, One Ration Card scheme by July 31st, while directing the centre to step up a portal for registering migrant workers. The Supreme Court also directed state governments to provide dry ration and continue community kitchens for migrant workers till the pandemic continues. The scheme allows migrant workers to get ration at the place of their work in other states as well as where their ration cards are not registered. The Supreme Court also issued a slew of directions to centre and state governments relating to the welfare of migrant workers affected due to COVID-19. Taking note of the delay in the development of software meant to register workers of the unorganized sector to create a national database, the Supreme Court has directed the centre and the states to complete the process by July 31st. Vikas Sarthi joins us with more inputs. Vikas, more on the observations and the directions by the top court, please.
Right, Sakal. The Supreme Court has clearly directed centre and states to, first of all, to ensure that registration process is completed by 31st of July. Supreme Court noted whatever efforts have been taken by the respective states, but some of the states are running far behind, and court has said that all these states must ensure the registration process, timely registration process. Apart from it, court has said that all states will ensure that one nation, one ration card scheme is completely in practice in all those states, because 4 of the states were of the position that they didn't implemented that one nation, one ration card at a larger scale. In fact, Delhi, Assam, Chhattisgarh and West Bengal were the 4 states which were running far behind in implementing one nation, one ration card scheme. Apart from it, court has also said that the centre must ensure that additional food grains are given to all these states, because since this scheme is in practice, some states may need more ration than previous records. So they can ask from the centre for additional food grains, and centre will provide them. But today the Supreme Court was of the opinion that first of all the registration process must be completed by 31st of July, because unless the centre and states have definite numbers that how many migrant workers are in a particular state, these welfare schemes cannot be implemented effectively. So by 31st of July, these exercises must be completed by all these stakeholders and all the state governments.
All right, many thanks, Vikas, for those inputs and putting this in larger perspective. Why is one nation, one ration card scheme important? Thank you for joining us. And now let's move on and talk about the other news and developments that we are tracking for you at this hour. President Ramnath Kovind today laid the foundation stone of Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar Cultural Centre in Lucknow. The Ambedkar Culture Centre is being developed by Culture Ministry of the state. The Cultural Centre will have 750-seated auditorium, library, picture gallery, museum, multi-purpose hall, dormitory, cafeteria, parking and other basic facilities. Speaking on the occasion, the President said our real success lies in following the values and ideals of Baba Saheb. He added Baba Saheb favoured important role for women in the making of modern India.
93 साल पूर्व डॉक्टर अंबेडकर ने जिस सोच को आगे बढ़ाया, समता मूलक समाज की रचना, और उसके लिए उन्होंने एक समाचार पत्र का प्रकाशन प्रारंभ किया, समता नाम का। और हम सब ने देखा होगा उनकी पूरी जीवन यात्रा समता मूलक समाज के रचना पर ही व्यस्त रही। वो जानते थे कि जब तक इस देश में समता मूलक समाज का निर्माण नहीं होगा, सरकारें इस रास्ते पर नहीं चलेंगी, तब तक इस देश का समग्र विकास संभव नहीं है। जो सांस्कृतिक केंद्र बनने जा रहा है, उस यात्रा को आगे बढ़ाने का उसके हम सब लोग साक्षी बन रहे हैं।
Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises Minister Prakash Javadekar today virtually inaugurated the world-class 11.3 km of high-speed track at Natrax Indore. Speaking on the occasion, the Union Minister said it is the longest such track in Asia and will be used for measuring the maximum speed capabilities of high-end cars and other categories of vehicles. Minister of State for Heavy Industries and Public Enterprise Arjun Ram Meghwal and others were also present on the occasion.
प्रधानमंत्री ने देश के तरक्की का जो सपना देखा है, वो भारत एक मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का हब बने। और जब हम सत्ता में आए थे तो 2 मोबाइल फैक्ट्रीज थी, आज लगभग 200 फैक्ट्रीज हो रही है। ऐसे ही व्हीकल के निर्माण में भी नई नई लागत आएगी और उससे रोजगार के अवसर और बहुत बढ़ेंगे।
Well, Call for Justice, a voluntary organization consisting of eminent citizens, retired bureaucrats, diplomats, lawyers, have submitted their report on post-poll violence in West Bengal to Union Minister of the State for Home G. Kishan Reddy. The report says the violence was pre-planned and politically motivated. It calls for an SID probe under supervision of the Supreme Court into the acts of violence in the state of West Bengal. Also calls for a separate probe by NIA. The report also expressed concern at a drastic demographic change in large parts of the state. Speaking to media, the Union Minister said the ministry will study the report, take appropriate action as per the Constitution.
इस रिपोर्ट में देखने के बाद वेस्ट बंगाल का स्थिति जो इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के द्वारा काम करने वाला सरकार जैसा अनकॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल अनडेमोक्रेटिक सिस्टम से जो वेस्ट बंगाल में चुनाव के बाद जो अत्याचार हुआ, खासकर गरीबों के ऊपर, दलितों के ऊपर, वीकर सेक्शंस के ऊपर जो स्पॉन्सर्ड एट्रॉसिटी हुआ है, इसके बारे में इन डिटेल रिपोर्ट दिया है। हम पूरा इस रिपोर्ट को स्टडी करेंगे। रिपोर्ट के बाद एज पर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो भी कदम उठाना चाहिए वो कदम हम उठाने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करेंगे।
In other news, Union Minister for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Harshvardhan, today held a meeting with the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Anil Bajal, and Delhi Health Minister Satyendra Jain in order to review the preparedness for prevention and control of vector-borne diseases in Delhi. Mayors of the three municipal corporations and senior officials of Union and Delhi government also participated in the meeting. The Union Minister asked the Delhi government to continuously work towards achieving the target of elimination of vector-borne diseases in the national capital.
हम लोगों के लगातार आग्रह के बावजूद भी दिल्ली में मलेरिया और डेंगू इनको अभी तक नोटिफाइबल डिजीज के रूप में नोटिफाई नहीं किया गया है। नोटिफाई करना इसलिए बहुत ज़्यादा महत्वपूर्ण और बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है कि नोटिफाइबल बनाने के बाद हमें, चाहे वो सरकारी अस्पताल हो चाहे वो प्राइवेट अस्पताल हो, किसी भी व्यवस्था में अगर कोई इन बीमारियों का केस आता है तो उसको सरकार को सूचित करना जरूरी होता है। जिस प्रकार से आपने कोविड में भी हमने सबने माइक्रो कंटेनमेंट जोन्स बनाए और उस प्रकार से कोविड को गली गली मोहल्ले मोहल्ले लड़ने की कोशिश की, उसी प्रकार से मलेरिया को भी या डेंगू को भी हमारे को उसी तरह से गली गली मोहल्ले मोहल्ले लड़ने के लिए और छोटी छोटी माइक्रो स्ट्रैटेजीज बनाने के लिए ये आवश्यक है।
Let's go back to the top story on the Call for Justice, which is a voluntary organization consisting of eminent citizens, retired bureaucrats, lawyers and diplomats. We told you that they submitted their report on the post-poll violence in West Bengal to the Union Minister of State for Home G. Kishan Reddy. My colleague Vishal Beristo joins us with more inputs on the findings of this report and what happens next, Vishal.
Well, a very good afternoon to you. Yes, it's a very serious matter and it's been going on for a very long time. And the report clearly says that before reaching Bengal, they had informed the Secretary of Bengal. So the government was very much in the know-how that a fact-finding committee would be coming from the central capital. And it consisted of the former Chief Justice of Sikkim, former DGP of Jharkhand, and also former Chief Secretary of Kerala, apart from two other members. So they have submitted the report to the Minister of State, and they have made the findings have been quite surprising, and at the same time calls for an urgent action. As you heard the Minister saying that they would take all appropriate actions. They are asking for an SIT, also investigation by the NIA. Let me also add that the Governor of West Bengal has recently visited the North Bengal. He was there for a week, and he has been very vocal about these atrocities, and some time back he also surprised the Home Minister here in Delhi. So all is not well there, and the violence continues, which started off before polls. It continues to carry on, and the Chief Minister and the state authorities, as alleged by the Governor, have not taken appropriate action. And as the committee says, that it appears that the violence is planned, and it could have been stopped. Now, it could
So
have been
this
stopped
basically
means
puts
that
the state government in a very tight spot, because the report also calls in for probe by NIA.
Well, definitely sure, because there have been serious allegations in the fact-finding report, and it also tells that there have been drastic changes, demographic changes in the border areas. And apart from the atrocities, this is also very, very alarming. And when the committee says that this could have been stopped, and they are asking for an SIT under Supreme Court, which is the apex court of the country, and also NIA. So NIA is our elite organization that works on the anti-terror activities, against the anti-terror activities. So definitely all is not well, and so certainly we are expecting a move by the central government after this committee has submitted its report.
All right, thank you very much, Vishal, for those updates. Thank you for joining us. Well, let's now move on. The Ministry for Home Affairs has handed over the investigation into the drone strike at Air Force Station in Jammu to the National Intelligence. It has actually handed over to NIA. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, 2 drones were spotted at Kaluchak military station in Jammu district. Remember, during the intervening night of 27th and 28th of June, Defence spokesperson said that army personnel deployed on the duty fired several rounds on the hovering drones, following which both the drones sped away from the spot. A major threat was thereby thwarted by the alertness and proactive approach of the troops. Immediately after that, a high alert was sounded and search operations were launched by Army and police in Jammu. Earlier, 2 low-intensity blasts also shook the technical area of Jammu Air Force Station, with the blast causing some damage to the roof of a building on Friday. Minister of State for Home Affairs G. Kishan Reddy, today speaking on the incident of the Jammu Air Force Station blast, said that security forces are fully prepared to tackle such threats. Okay, let's continue and get you more updates on the same story. Meanwhile, security has been strengthened around vital installations across Kashmir in view of the threat posed by the possible drone attacks. IGP Kashmir Vijay Kumar, in a media briefing a while back, said that the security has been strengthened around the vital installations and along the line of control. The security measures have come in the wake of twin blasts inside a defense installation in Jammu, which are believed to have been carried out using drones.
आर्मी, सीआरपी, एयरफोर्स, बीएसएफ, एनएसजी के हर एक लोग के साथ मीटिंग लिए, पूरा तैयारी कर लिए। थ्रेट बहुत सीरियस थ्रेट है, ये टेक्नोलॉजिकल थ्रेट है, इसको टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू भी हम लोग रिस्पॉन्स करेंगे और उसमें हम लोग काफ़ी डिप्लॉयमेंट कर लिए, क्योंकि ये स्ट्रेटेजिक इंपॉर्टेंस है, हम लोग शेयर नहीं कर सकते हैं पूरा डिटेल में। उसके बाद कल 15 कोर में जोशी 15 कोर कमांड साहब ने मीटिंग ली, मैंने अटेंड किया। फर्दर उसको स्ट्रेंथन हम लोग कर रहे हैं, जितने वाइटल इंस्टॉलेशन है इसको भी, प्लस एलसी पर भी। उसके अलावा आज देखे होंगे जैसा एक डल के एरिया में एक ड्रोन फ्लाई कर रहा था, उसको पुलिस ने जब्त कर लिया, एफआईआर लॉन्च किया, उसको कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं हम लोग।
ये आइसोलेटेड इंसिडेंट है, पहले भी ड्रोन के द्वारा AK-47 आना, ड्रग्स भिजाना, ऐसा ये चल रहा है। हमारा सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस सक्षम है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रहे, इसलिए इसमें कोई डरने की बात नहीं है। ड्रोन हमले हो, जो भी हमले हो, उसको पूरा रोकने का, उसको फेस करने का हमारा सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस, जम्मू कश्मीर का पुलिस हो, पैरामिलिट्री हो, मिलिट्री हो, कोऑर्डिनेशन के साथ इसको फेस करेंगे। ये आइसोलेटेड इंसिडेंट है।
All right, now let's quickly get you some updates on this NIA taking the Jammu attack probe. Ramesh Rana, my colleague, joining us from Jammu to give us more inputs. Ramesh, yes, he's there with us. Ramesh, good afternoon. Very quickly now, what more details can you share as far as the NIA probe on these drone attacks in Jammu is considered, and also the IG briefing?
Good afternoon, Sakal. See, this is the first time that such a dreaded attack has taken place on a vital installation in J&K, and it has got international ramifications. So the moment the two low intensity blasts took place targeting this Indian Air Force technical area, all the security agencies they are invested in the case, but Home Ministry has asked NIA to investigate the case. See, NIA it has got experience, it has got expertise to investigate such case. It has been doing all these things in the last also. So we are expecting that NIA will unravel the mystery behind all these behind all these two attacks, these drone attacks, and see who are the persons who are involved in this circle.
And as per the IG, the security has been beefed up, made more robust, especially the vital installations in Jammu as well as Srinagar, Kashmir.
Yes, exactly. See, when such an incident takes place, it is obvious that security will get tightened. Yesterday also, you know, two drones were also seen flying over a military station, Kaluchak and Ratnuchak, and immediately the area which is situated on Jammu, Pathankot National Highway, Jammu, Delhi National Highway, and it is always a busy route. So all the vehicles which were coming on that way, they were thoroughly searched, and I can tell you that security has been tightened all around the vital stations in and around Jammu city, and there are reports that search operations are going on the last 2 days in the area around this Satwari Air Force Station and in the Ratnuchak, Kaluchak area, because it is not this incident cannot be taken lightly.
Absolutely.
Because it is such a vital destination that our enemies have tried to target this.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Rana, for joining us with those inputs from Jammu. Moving on to more news and updates on Midday Prime. India has raised concerns over the use of weaponized drones for terrorist activities against strategic and commercial assets, and this was raised at the UNGA. Speaking at the United Nations General Assembly Conference on Global Terrorism, Special Secretary Internal Security, also Special Secretary in the Home Ministry, VSK Kaumudi, has said that the misuse of information and communication technology and emerging technologies for terroristic purposes has emerged as the most serious terror threat and will decide counter-terrorism paradigm going forward. Kaumudi also further added that internet and social media platforms have turned into indispensable resources in the toolkit of global terrorist groups for spreading terrorist propaganda and conspiracy theories aimed at spreading hatred among societies and communities, and offer additional radicalization opportunities which may proliferate globally. Kaumudi further added that another add-on to existing worries is the use of drone, saying that being a low-cost option and easily available, utilization of these aerial and subsurface platforms for sinister purposes by terror groups such as intelligence, collection explosives, delivery and targeted attacks have become an imminent danger for security agencies worldwide. The Special Secretary also emphasized that the international community should call out those who provide safe havens to terrorists and hold them accountable. He said it is high time that the international community calls upon Pakistan to take effective, verifiable and irreversible actions against terror outfits operating on the territory under its control, basically operating on Pakistan's soil. And as we stay with these graphics, the big takeaways, Amritpal, my colleague, is joining us with more perspective and more inputs. India raises in a big way, Amrit, terror drone issue at UNGA, strongly worded intervention coming at the global platform. Amrit.
The Ministry of Home Affairs, while speaking on Tuesday at this session at the UNGA, basically brought up this issue of the use of drones, and says that the world needs to pay serious attention to the possibility of the use of weaponized drones for terrorist activities against strategic assets in enemy countries. Now, he was speaking at the conference that was of the heads of counterterrorism agencies of the member states of the UN, where he brought this up and said, as you quoted him, that this being a low-cost option which is easily available, utilization of these platforms by terrorist groups for weapons delivery or explosives delivery or even intelligence collection has become an imminent danger, and it's become a challenge for security agencies worldwide. So clearly saying that this is a new technology which is available off the shelf, which terrorist organizations are using, and this comes in the wake of the first time ever used by Pakistan based terrorist groups where they use drones to strike the
Does this also, Amrit, since you talk about Pakistan very quickly, put Pakistan also in a very precarious position, rather in a tight spot at the UNGA with its direct mention that Pakistan continues to provide safe havens to terror groups?
That's right. You know, he was responding to the diatribe of the Pakistani delegation, where Pakistan made accusations against India. So VSK Kamadi, while reacting to that, said that Pakistan should look inward. They continue to provide safe havens to terrorists and for anti-India activities, and he says that the world has seen through that. So clearly it was an embarrassment for Pakistan that while on one hand it claims that it is in the fight against terror, on the other hand it engages in doublespeak at multilateral fora, and while allowing its soil to be used by terrorists for terrorist activities in neighboring countries.
Thank you very much. On that note, thank you very much, Amrit, for those quick updates. Thanks for joining us. And on Midday Prime, it's time for the news and updates coming in from the world of business. And on Business Prime, let me quickly go across to my colleague Tanvi, who is in our Delhi studio for more. Okay, we have Tanvi with us. Yes, Tanvi, good afternoon. Over to you for Business Prime.
Yes, thank you, Sakal. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has said that Narendra Modi government is committed to the deregulation of the economy and ushering in systemic reforms. She said what India needs is transformational, not incremental changes. In an article published in a leading English daily, the finance minister said that the economy welcomed the breath of fresh air with the liberalization of economy in 1991. She recalled the political will of the then Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and the then finance minister Dr. Manmohan Singh for liberalizing the economy 30 years ago. Sharing the article link on Twitter, the finance minister wrote, and I quote, "The 1991 reforms were the 20th century story. Being undertaken today are the reforms of a new India of 21st century." The finance minister in the article wrote that Prime Minister Narendra Modi during his first term ensured the weeding out of 1,200 archaic laws and discarding 58 more in the second term. She mentioned that the previous government's emotional but standalone call to remove poverty, Garibi Hatao, failed because it was not well thought out. Ms. Sitharaman bemoaned that the past governments did not simultaneously build the necessary ecosystem for aspirational growth for individuals. Highlighting the work done by the present government, she wrote, every eligible and volunteering household got electricity under the Ujala scheme, a toilet under the Swachhata scheme and a clean cooking medium under the Ujjwala scheme. The finance minister also said individuals and families receive cashless healthcare under the Ayushman scheme, life and accident cover under the Jeevan Jyoti Suraksha Bima Yojana. Ms. Sitharaman said the small list of businesses who have no security to offer can avail Mudra loans from 50,000 to 10 lakh rupees. She reiterated that the Modi government's simple guiding philosophy is Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas and Sabka Vishwas. Moving on, the domestic stock markets have ruled weak so far on Tuesday. So the Sensex at the BSE had dropped 206 points or 0.4% to 52,530 in afternoon deals a short while ago. And the Nifty at the National Stock Exchange had lost 76 points or 0.5% to 15,737. In the broader market, The BSE mid-cap index slipped 0.1%, while the small-cap index had gained 0.3%. The top index gainers are Nestle, Bajaj Finance, Dr. Reddy's Labs, HUL and Reliance, with gains of between 0.5 and 1.1%. The top index losers so far are ICICI Bank, Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Auto, M&M and Kotak Mahindra, with losses of between 1.1 and 1.6%. Other key Asian markets have also dropped on Tuesday on concerns that new coronavirus outbreaks in the region could undercut an economic recovery. So MSCI's broadest index of Asia-Pacific shares outside Japan lost 0.2%. Japan's Nikkei 225 index fell 0.9%. China's Shanghai Composite Index dropped 0.9% again. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index slipped 1%, and South Korea's Kospi shed 0.5%. Back home at the Forex market, the rupee had depreciated 7 paise against the dollar in opening trade on Tuesday as weak domestic equities weighed on investor sentiment. Later, the rupee had depreciated 8 paise to 74 rupees 27 paise against the dollar in afternoon deals. And at the multi-commodity exchange, gold had weakened 242 rupees to 46,766 rupees per 10 grams. Silver had slumped 511 rupees to 67,653 rupees per kilo. And global crude oil prices dropped for a second straight day on Tuesday amid worries about slower fuel demand growth as outbreaks of the highly contagious COVID-19 variant Delta sparked new mobility restrictions around the world. So Brent crude oil fell 35 cents or 0.5% to $74.33 a barrel. US oil lost 34 cents or 0.5% to $72.57 a barrel. In other news, Moderna has requested for approval for its COVID-19 vaccine in India. Mumbai-based pharma major Cipla has applied for permission to import and sell it in the country. Moderna has applied for the Drug Controller General of India for approval. DCGI will soon take a decision on Moderna's application. Moderna has also informed that the US government would be donating a certain number of doses to India through COVAX initiative, a program by Gavi and WHO to ensure equitable distribution of COVID-19 vaccine globally, for which it has sought approval from the Central Drug Standard Control Organization. So with that, it's a wrap on Business Prime for now. Sakal, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanvi. And from Business Prime, let's move on to the World Prime. A quick look at the world news. Well, the European Union countries on Monday gave the final seal of approval to a law to make the bloc's greenhouse gas emissions targets legally binding as EU policymakers prepare a huge new package of policies to fight climate change. Negotiators from Parliament and EU member states reached a deal in April on the climate law, which sets targets to reduce net EU emissions by 55% by 2030 from 1990 levels and eliminate them by 2050. Ministers from the 27 EU countries formally approved the deal on Monday, except for Bulgaria, which abstained. The European Parliament approved the law last week. Ministers approved it during an agriculture meeting in Luxembourg on Monday. EU will begin the upgrade on July 14th when it proposes a dozen policies to reshape industry, energy, transport and housing to emit less CO2 or carbon dioxide. A quick update on the COVID-19 numbers stack up across the world. Now, these are the numbers globally. So far, more than 18 crore 24 lakh people have been infected with COVID-19 cumulatively. Recovery rate has crossed 16 crore 67 lakh mark. Disease has claimed over 39 lakh 45,000 lives globally. United States has been worst affected country with more than 3 crore 45 lakh total infections. Country's fatalities stand at more than 6 lakh 19,000 from the pandemic. So globally, the total cases have crossed 18 crore mark. and recoveries have also crossed 16 crore mark. And after that, let's now take a look at stories coming in from the world of sports. Well, there's lots happening in Sports Prime. My colleague Ashok Martulia joins us in Delhi studio with more. Ashok, good afternoon. Over to you.
Thank you, Sakal. Let's start Sports Prime with our Olympic-bound athletes. The dynamic doubles duo of Satwik Sairaj and Chirag Shetty can be quite explosive, and the young pair are expected to shine at the Tokyo Olympics. Let's take a look at their story.
Barely stepping out of their teenage years, the incredible young duo of Satwik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty have already stirred up quite the storm on the global badminton circuit.
चिराग का स्पिरिट बहुत अच्छा है, फाइटिंग स्पिरिट, बहुत कॉन्फिडेंट रहता है कोर्ट पे.
Satwik's X factor would be his smash. He is definitely one of the hardest hitters in the world currently.
मैं जिधर स्टार्ट किया उधर 2 ही कोर्ट रहता था. There were like almost 30 to 40 people, so we don't get chance to play more singles.
So my father took me to the Goregaon Sports Club. I was playing along with him, and my first coach Manish Hatkar saw me play, and he went up to my father and asked him, why don't you make your son join the regular coaching? So I think that's how I started playing badminton.
Born on August 13, 2000 in Amlapuram, Satwik Sairaj inherited his love for the game and his attacking spirit from home. His father, Vishwanathan, who apart from being a state level player himself, is also a badminton coach and a referee. As a child, Satwik felt inclined towards the sport on his own, going to the stadium, and at the age of 14, he joined the famous Pulela Gopichand Badminton Academy in Hyderabad. Born on 4th of July 1997 in Mumbai, Chirag Shetty adopted his hobby at the age of 7. Soon, Kim Tanhar, the head coach of the Indian badminton doubles team, saw their technique and identified their potential and took the responsibility to pursue them. This pair of Chirag Shetty and Satwik Sairaj is almost a fortunate coincidence for India, as the two youngsters did not want to play together in the beginning.
I was not very comfortable, like I was more on to Telugu people.
And he did not mingle with the people who used to speak Hindi.
कोच बोला कि तुम दोनों साथ में रहना है, दोनों एक ही रूम में रहना है, तो शेयर करना है. At least one meal you should go out and eat together. Understanding बहुत अच्छा है हम दोनों का.
Both of them used to play on the side. Both of them used to hit. Nobody was ready to play at the front as such.
Dan Kimhar, the coach who came up with that idea. So when he came up and said, because they looked a natural fit, because Satwik had the big smash, and with both of them towering on court, they made a deadly combination.
The rise of Satwik Chirag has been meteoric, and the world number 10 doubles duo have forged a formidable partnership that has seen them emerge victorious in many a conquest. In the process, they also started adding titles and collecting medals to their name. Picking up the 2018 Hyderabad Super Open 100 title, the pair of Satwik Sairaj and Chirag Shetty raced into the finals of the Saeed Modi Super 300 tournament in 2018, as well as the 2019 French Open. In 2019, the duo also bagged the Thai Open Super 500 title, an incredible feat by an Indian doubles pair. The crowning moment of glory for this dynamic pair arrived at the 2018 Commonwealth Games.
We played 4 to 5 tournaments together and we won all 4 of them. I think those victories really made us believe that we actually have a shot at getting a medal for the country in the Olympics.
It is our first Olympics. We want to perform pretty well.
They got all the help from the government in their pursuit of excellence.
The government of India and SAI have been working really hard to give us the best facilities.
Target is like gold.
we definitely have a good chance of getting a medal for the country.
Satvik and Chirag have revamped the country's conception about doubles in Indian badminton with their arrival. The lone Indian men's double pair to head to Tokyo Olympics, Satvik and Chirag will be shouldering the hopes of an entire nation who will have their eyes fixated on this dynamic combination as they make their Olympic debut. Tapush Bhattacharya's report, DD India.
And in order to support our Tokyo-bound athletes, Sports Authority of India is conducting a quiz. You can also participate in this quiz by logging to http://quiz.mygov.in/quiz/road to Tokyo 2020. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Indian archers for their performance at the Archery World Cup. PM Modi took to Twitter and congratulated the winners. The Prime Minister in a tweet said, I quote, the last few days have witnessed stupendous performance by our archers at the World Cup. Congratulations to Deepika, Ankita Bhagat, Komalika, Atanudas, Abhishek for their success. The last few days of winning inspired upcoming talent in this field. So that's in Sports Prime. Back to Sakal. Namaskar.
Thank you, Ashok, for joining us with news from the world of sports. And now, before we wrap up, a quick one on Live Prime. It's time for next Live Prime segment. Well, this year marks the 71st anniversary of the Korean War. The Korean Culture Center has expressed gratitude towards the Indian government and its contribution in this war. On this occasion, the Korean Culture Center has shared a video to extend thanks to the Indian audience. And with that also, we wrap up this edition of Midday Prime. But remember, after a very short break, me and Arendra, my colleague, will be joining you our live phone-in program, Doctors Speak. We will be having 3 eminent doctors on the show. Our telephone lines will be open. You can call us with all the questions. Today, we're going to typically talk about long COVID syndrome and much more.